Welcome back to the Gametime Greatness Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Grant.
And I'm your other host, Matthew.
It's game time. Game time. Game time. We winning, we winning, we winning, we winning. It's game time. Game time.
All right, so the draft has happened. We've all got our teams. Spirits are high, except for at the filming of this podcast. I think Cole might be a little sad to see that he's without one of his star running backs for a few weeks. But I think for the most part, everyone's feeling good because no one has taken any L's yet.
Yeah, especially with preseason still going on. We were really thankful that nobody has gotten hurt.
Yes.
So far.
Yeah, and I'm still here making podcasts, so you know the spirits are high. Because last year, after my third loss or something, I was like, I don't want to make any podcasts.
Yeah.
So here we are. Spirits are high. So we're gonna go a little bit into some draft analysis. We're gonna talk about everyone's team. We'll go over the power rankings that Grant found from Fantasy Pros, and hopefully we continue to do these podcasts throughout the season and we'll see how those power rankings change. We'll talk about everyone's team. I sent out a survey. Not everyone has replied yet. Maybe that's my fault for not giving it enough time. But we sent out a survey. Most people have replied. So we'll go over everyone's answers from that. This is my dog Boone. First things first. We'll just go through everybody's team. I say we just go left to right in order of draft position. And just talk about everyone's team for a bit, which would make my team the start. I'm pretty okay with my team. I've never super gung-ho I got the best team after the draft. Never been like that. I like my team. I'm really excited for a few of the players on there. And so Justin Jefferson, of course, was the 101. I like him a lot. I have him in lots of leagues. And then Jahmyr Gibbs after that. That one may have been a little bit of a reach, which, okay, maybe so. But it's not a reach if he's not going to be there at your next pick. So,
yeah, there's not a lot of reaching. If you're at the end, on the very end, you kind of have to throw ADP out the window and take the two best players you want that fit your team. So
yeah, I'm a little nervous for him as my RB1. Just because he hasn't done anything before. He's a rookie. Unlike Bijan, who you're like, this guy is an absolute stud. You don't necessarily know that about Gibbs. You strongly suspect, but you don't necessarily know it. And then the DK Metcalf pick right after. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I kind of wish I went in a different direction. But I'm excited for Fields. A few guys down the list I'm excited for as well. I think I did all right.
I really like, obviously, Justin Jefferson. I don't mind any of your picks like Gibbs or Metcalf. I really like Fields this year. I think he's going to have some winning weeks for you. Yeah. Warren, Mingo,
all right,
Johnson.
Pause real quick.
I like most of your picks. I really like Justin Fields. I think that's going to be a guy that pays off really big on a week to week. You're going to have some huge games. You might have some duds too, but that comes with, fantasy. But I really like Fields this year. And then you took a lot of good rookies late. So Johnson, Warren, or he's not a rookie. Sorry, Mingo, A-Chain, especially late. It's just rookies seem to, especially recently, just be really valuable because you get them really late. And they'll hopefully for you pay off a late season.
Yeah, I think I have 5 or 6 rookies, straight up rookies, and then a few sophomores as well. And I don't know if I've necessarily been that gung-ho on rookies before. I know I really enjoy playing Dynasty, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I probably have the youngest roster, I would guess.
I would think so too.
But yeah, so let's move on to Jake. I like Jake's team. I will say he did 4 of his first 5 picks were running backs, which is looking like a sleeper mock draft.
Yeah,
but
very heavy running back.
I think his receivers have some big upside. I like Calvin Ridley a lot. There's a lot of mixed feelings around whether he's going to be as relevant as he once was. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback to throw it to him, and Jake picked him up too for the stack. And also, he took 2 Chiefs receivers late, trying to find that Patrick Mahomes number 1 target as far as receivers go. So
Yeah, I don't know if this was Jake's draft strategy to go heavy running back, or if that's just kind of how the board fell for him. Obviously, it's risky in a 3 wide receiver league to start with like a guy like Calvin Ridley. Not that I believe in Calvin Ridley, but
Right.
it is nerve-wracking to see all of those running backs. But then again, you get plug a guy like on the Chiefs, Justin Ross or Sky Moore, and they catch touchdowns, then that's all you really need. So if that's your draft strategy and it pays off, I think that's great. If it wasn't and you panicked during the draft, then, I mean, we'll see.
Jake's never panicked in the draft, all right?
Yeah.
He's not emotional at all. He's stoic.
Yeah.
Stoic drafters.
I do like Jake's team overall. I really like
me
Zach
too.
Charbonnet as a rookie running back, but he may not see a lot of playing time on your roster with 4 starting running backs.
Brees Hall worries me a little bit. I don't know how strongly he can come back from that injury. But
this is the
and
roster
plus
that it's
Dalvin
good with.
Cook. But this is a good roster to have him because he's got
You don't need
got
him,
some big upside, right?
at least in the first half of the year.
Mm-hmm. All right, next is Grant's
My team.
team. Why don't you talk about your team for a little?
I really like my team. Mike, I really wish, and I didn't put this in the survey, but I really liked Chris Olave as my second wide receiver. I kind of knew I wanted to go slightly 0 RB, or I at least wanted to approach the first several picks 0 RB when I started with Chase.
Which made it nice drafting next to Jake, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it made a change in my, like when I took Jordan Addison in the 6th round, I think someone said like, wow, that was early. I took him in the 6th round because I knew that Jake was going to take a receiver and Matthew was probably going to. So instead of taking the running back I wanted, I waited. That was just a draft like board decision. And so, I mean, yes, that was probably earlier than ADP, but I really like Mark Andrews and Joe Burrow taken early. I didn't draft like I normally did or I have in the past. And I needed to take a different strategy because obviously I've been missing playoffs too much. And so
Yeah, that was kind of same for me.
I wanted to shake it up a little bit. We talked about quarterbacks last time. I knew I wanted to have an elite quarterback. If it blows up in my face, it's like, well, whatever, because if I drafted the other way, it has the same amount of likelihood that, my team would suck. So I got to swing high, and I like how my team fell out.
Well, swing high you did, I think. For starters, the Burrow Chase stack, that's hot.
It's fun.
That's probably the second best stack in the league.
So
I guess.
Mahomes and Kelsey.
Mahomes and Kelsey. I don't know, maybe it is the best, but it's really nice, and it's probably going to win you a couple weeks just on the big Chase games.
Yeah.
I really like Andrews in the 3rd.
I am nervous about his injury. He's not been playing. I don't know if that's going to affect it or not, but it's still in the 3rd round. It might be a good value.
Yeah. The only issue that I might have is there's no strong alpha running back. But that's what you said. You're going 0 RB, so there's not going to be that. But I mean, the rest of the receivers all have high upside, and even the running backs. Javonte, don't know how he's going to come back from that injury, but if he comes back strong, I mean, he's already playing again, so I mean that could be a home run pick in the 7th round. So we'll see. I like Grant's team. A lot of people like Grant's team. So
Okay, Mike.
yeah, all right, Mike's team. I like Mike's team. Eckler is obviously a boss. We're gonna like everyone's 1st round pick, but
Yeah.
I mean Eckler's a boss, and like Grant was saying, he wanted Olave to fall to him. I wanted Olave to fall to me. There's a chance that Jake wanted Olave as well. I know Jake had Olave last year from Noah.
Yeah.
And so, he made a trade with Noah.
That's right.
Yeah. We forgot to talk about that last week, and Jake reminded me I should have talked about it.
That's funny though. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But, so I think Jake likes Olave as well. But Ramondre, super nice. We'll see how the Zeke addition changes things for the Patriots, but could take away some touchdowns, but I think that's probably about it. Ramondre is still going to get a buttload of work.
Right.
And I personally really wanted Waller to fall to me. He did not.
I took Waller in like 90% of drafts because Andrews never fell to the third.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he did, I took him. And so Waller was like a pretty much a smash in the 5th or 6th round for me.
Yeah.
I knew that it would have to be 5th in our league. But
yeah, I passed on him at the 4 or 5 turn. But I like Waller a lot. Kamara could pay off huge with the later in the season for you. I really like Tank Bigsby. That could be a big steal for you in the 10th round. He's just got a lot of hype around him right now, and I'm buying it, I guess. I drafted him in another league, and who knows, he could be huge later on. So
I really like a lot of players on Mike's team. I like those 3 wide receivers there, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, and Juju, especially late. I think those are just good value players. I think they're all going to get good amount of targets. Cortland Sutton was obviously after the Judy news. I think he will probably, just get more targets because of that. And you're not necessarily relying on him. He'll be your wide receiver 3.
yeah.
But that's a guy that you can flex in and out every single time. You can throw in Zay Flowers, whatever. So I like that grouping of guys. I really like Deshaun Watson really late for you. That was a guy that if I didn't go quarterback early, I was targeting pretty heavily because he was almost undrafted in most mock drafts. Or not mock drafts, but in our league, he was probably not going to get drafted until really late. I think that Watson is going to have a much nicer year and be very valuable
Than how
late.
he finished last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Mike later.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Brandon. I like Brandon's team, especially his receivers, man. Between Kupp and Deontay, and then his tight end Hawkinson, I told him after draft night I thought those 3 would get targets out the wazoo every single game. And then you've also got the big play opportunity from Waddle and T. Higgins. So, and they'll get their fair share of targets too, but I just thought it's a good mix of different styles of receiver on the team. Taking Geno way late, but Geno finishes like the quarterback 5 last year or something like that. So that could pay off huge. Running back is a little bit of a question. Madison, people are a little bit of a mixed bag on him too, but he's gonna
starter.
Yeah, he's a starting running back
on a high power offense.
Yeah, on a good offense. So I'm sure Brandon will be cheering the Vikings on a lot this year. So with Hawkinson and Madison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like his team overall.
Yeah, I don't think there's a pick on here that I don't like. There's obviously in our league, the second half of the draft, you're taking guys that have question marks. So you can't really knock somebody for taking a guy like, Jacoby Myers or Elijah Mitchell. It's like there are question marks already, or otherwise they'd be drafted earlier. But your first, 7 or 8 picks are just like good values, good players. It's a pretty balanced roster. Geno's a great streaming quarterback. You have no pressure to start him every week, and he's got probably one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. So I really like Brandon's team a lot. Collin, I think anybody that has Kelsey and Mahomes is going to have week-winning weeks by themselves.
Yeah.
He just has to have a regular Joe, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. If they pop off, he's going to get a guaranteed 50, 60 points just in 2 onesie positions. So being able to play around that, I really like Ken Walker, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman. I'm not the biggest fan of those 3 guys. A little bit of Mike Williams bias from last year. DJ Moore is exciting. He's going to get, I think he's got a decent floor. And that might be perfect for those 2 early quarterback tight end players. Not my favorite draft strategy overall, but I love Kelsey. He's a wide receiver 1 on the Chiefs, but you got to play him at tight end. Obviously, Mahomes will be a top 2 or 3 quarterback. He's on 90% of our championship rosters in GG. So
Yeah. I think his first 3 picks are great.
yeah,
Which they should be on everybody's team, but I really like the Kelsey Mahomes stack, obviously. Except I don't like it right now because I play you week 1 and opening night, football's back, yay! Finally, football's here. Oh wait, I have to watch Kelsey and Mahomes tear my team apart. I'm sure they're gonna pop off week 1 because something about CC is he's always elite in week 1. And then his team kind of like falls off a little bit. But week 1, he shows up huge, and I know Kelsey and Mahomes are going to be a big part of that. Thursday night football week 1 may not be so fun for me, but I mean, I got to hand it to him. That's a power stack right there, and commitment to not go any receivers in the first 4 rounds. But then when you did pick up receivers, like Grant was saying, not our favorite, but I mean, that's what's going to happen when you're drafting late round receivers, but they do have upside. I like Antonio Gibson this year. I don't really know why. That there's always been hype around him, and then he doesn't do much. The coaches don't let him do much or whatever. But you know what? I like him. So
if I had to change one thing to make this draft my favorite draft for, if instead of Josh Jacobs you took Chris Olave, and then instead of like one of your wide receivers, you took a guy like James Conner or, Kamara coming back, and you got a later running back and a higher powered wide receiver. Because I worry about Josh Jacobs. Obviously, Jake sent that picture. Guys that lead the league in rushing, it's very unlikely that they finish well the next season. With all the contract and him missing camp, I just worry about him. But he's going to get so many carries for the Raiders. So, and he's a good player. So I think he will be a good pick. I worry about injury and stuff like that. But if he had done something like that, I think I would almost guarantee this would have been my favorite draft.
On to Noah's team. I like it pretty decent. There's a few questions, and there's a few, like week 1 is probably not going to go great for Noah, in my opinion. But, I mean, it's fantasy. Anything can happen. But Tyreek Hill, love the pick. Tony Pollard, love the pick. Aaron Jones, love the pick. But Tony Pollard's still coming off that injury. I don't know how strong he's going to be week 1. Terry McLaurin's hurt week 1, I'm pretty sure. Jerry Jeudy hurt week 1. Jameson Williams not going to play. Anthony Richardson not played an NFL game yet. So, I mean, rookie out of the gate, Anthony Richardson for your starting quarterback. Don't know how that's going to be week 1. But, I mean, his team's still got a lot of talent, obviously.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, obviously. I mean, Noah's got 2 championships. I have 0, so what do I know?
I think this team is going to be a threat down the end, the back half of the season. I don't understand the Jameson Williams pick. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think we can put suspended players on IR. So there's a 6-game suspension. That was kind of a 10th round pick. Not that it's like the most valuable, but it is kind of like a throwaway pick, in my opinion. I don't mind Anthony Richardson because, again, just like Geno, it's like a guy that there's no pressure. You might as well take a guy that's going to rush and score in touchdowns in the goal line. Is his team going to be good? I don't know, but I mean, who cares? Yeah. It's an interesting upside pick at quarterback,
Yeah.
But I don't dislike any of the picks necessarily. I don't personally have any shares in any of these players that in other mocks or even other leagues. So I don't know. It's, to me, at first glance, other than Tyreek Hill and Tony Pollard, it's kind of a very mid draft board. But again, what do I know? And I think second half of the season, this will be a threatening team.
Obviously, this is all speculation and silly and whatnot. I mean, anything could happen, really. And we really, like we were talking about this before we started filming, like we really do like everybody's team.
Seriously.
Really. The survey I sent out had who do you think's the best, who do you think's the worst. I mean, that was kind of a hard question. I thought everyone's team had a lot of upside, obviously, because the season hadn't started, and then had a few weaknesses, but man, these teams are close, and we don't know what's going to happen. So we really see everyone's team pretty close to the same.
Because we're still in depth chart season, every roster, like you said, looks amazing. The first 3 rounds for everybody, it's like you can see upside as far as, you want. So
Week 10, we're going to come back and be like,
Yeah.
this guy's draft was terrible.
right. But obviously, like I think Jake said in the group message, it's just such a fun time of fantasy because everybody is good. Everybody's a depth chart, gem, and it looks so great until even 2 or 3 weeks in. You're like, oh, this is rough. But
next is Ethan's draft. I really like Ethan's draft. Spent his first 9 picks on only receivers and running backs. I think his roster looks solid because of it. I love CeeDee Lamb, obviously. It's not even just a homer pick. Like, that was a good spot to take CD, and he's primed for a good season, I think. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 2nd round, that's just a target monster. Oh, and guess what? Keenan Allen in the 3rd round, target monster. Oh, and guess what? Tyler Lockett in the 6th round. He's just as good as DK Metcalf, just you get him 3 rounds later. His running backs, I think, are good. I think that James Cook and Khalil Herbert could be the 2 starting running backs on Ethan's team by week 8. ETN and Connor are both good and have upside, but I also see low floors for them as well.
Yeah.
But that's just nitpicky. I really do like Ethan's team. And then to get Tua pretty late, Tua could be the steal of the 10th round if he stays healthy, and I hope he does. That's just what I see when I look at Ethan's team. What about you?
We're going to see this. We'll talk more about Ethan's team throughout this episode because a lot of people like it. It's a good, it's a strategy that I have used a lot in my fantasy experience, and going, punting quarterback and tight end, just taking all the values that you can get at wide receiver, running back, makes draft boards look like this. And so you took a lot of players that I mocked and had on almost all my mock draft rosters. Obviously the first 8 picks are, to me, amazing. The parts at the bottom I still really like because you talked about Tua. Obviously anybody that has Tyreek and all those weapons on his team, he's going to score several points on any given week. But I really like guys like Van Jefferson and Devontae Parker super, super late. Guys that you just have to hold on your bench. And then when opportunity arises, Cooper Kupp goes out for a week. Van Jefferson's the 2 on the Rams. Devontae Parker might be the 1 on the Patriots. Are those amazing teams? Not necessarily, but I think amazing values in the 12th and 13th round. Bateman, I think, is fine. Is good. You're just taking a shot in the dark on a good offense. And then Higbee and Ertz, you're going to get a decent chunk of points from these guys. But the real value of your team is the core, the wide receiver and running backs in the first 8 picks. Good draft, Ethan.
Yep. All right. Next is Parker. Now, I will say there were some decisions that I may not have made in Parker's draft, but his first 3 picks are must-watch TV.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson, Garrett Wilson, and Josh Allen. Those 3 players, that is electric right there. I liked how his draft started like that. And then some may call it a reach in the 4th round to go for Pickens. I think Parker's been watching a lot of TikTok. That's probably why he likes Pickens so much, or Instagram or whatever. I don't know, but every play he makes is a highlight reel. But it's the frequency of those plays that comes into question. But Pickens, he could have an amazing year for all we know. So Cam Akers finished the season strong last year. Mike Evans made me really sad last year. He's still very talented, obviously. He could be really good for you as well. So I don't know. What do you think, Grant?
At a glance, it's not a bad team. I think, like you said, if you throw ADP away, Brendan brought it up. It's like if you like a guy, take him. No one's going to fault you. If Pickens is an amazing pick to you, that's great. I think that Pickens will have some amazing weeks. It was a little too rich for my blood. I think you could have gotten him in the 5th round. But again, who cares? I think there's a world where there's such volatility with your team. Josh Allen is safe. I think there is a world where Bijan is good, not great. I mean, we've seen guys like Clyde, even on good teams, get drafted in the first round and not be, what you expect of them. I think the Falcons roster could just not be good, and therefore
Scoring opportunities go down.
He may not pay off as the 9th overall pick in the draft. And I don't project that. I think that he's going to be good, but I think
he
that
does
there's
have RB1 upside.
You're right. There's a range of outcomes where Robinson's not good, and then you're, rolling with Cam Akers and Pacheco, and I think that the wheels could fall off, and if they do, it's going to be brutal. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that they will, and I think that you will have a pretty explosive offense. All right, next we have Jarvis. I really like a lot of the players. We're going to keep saying this, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Diggs, amazing pick. He's tied to one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Saquon falling to the second round late, or I guess early second round, to me is an amazing value. Saquon's going to catch a ton of passes. I think the Giants are extremely underrated, especially in fantasy production. Nobody really wants to be in that offense in fantasy, but Saquon, Darren Waller, I think they're going to get a ton of passes and they're going to be efficient.
Yeah.
Mixon, love Mixon. I mean, maybe his touchdowns weren't there previously, but he's on a high-powered offense and he's the only guy there.
I have bias against Mixon. I've
Yeah.
had him twice in GG, and those were his years where you paid the most and got burned the most for.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm biased against Mixon, but I do love Diggs and Barkley, like he was saying.
I like Lamar. I like Evan Ingram. And then I think your receivers after Diggs, though, are where it gets a little scary. I like Ayuk more than I like most anybody else. But Watson, Burks, Lazard, Jalen Hyatt, Ramondre, and Alec Pierce, similar to Parker, I think if the wheels fall off on your wide receiver
He said
core.
Ramondre, he means Rondale.
Sorry,
Rondale Moore.
Yes. If they fall off, it's going to be like scrounging the waiver wire for a guy that's catching 4 passes a week. If it works out for you, great. But I think after Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver core is a little lacking. But I like the team overall.
Yeah, I pretty much had the same exact things that Grant was saying. I really like Lamar. I ended up with Justin Fields, who I think is like Lamar light. So I was kind of hoping Lamar would fall all the way to me. But yeah, I like it. He's got some big upside on those later receivers, but I don't know. Jarvis' team could be really good. All right, next is Zach's team. Grant had the first pick on draft slot, and I had the second. He picked the 103, so I pretty much had, obviously, most of the board to pick from. And I was very close to picking near the end of the draft so that I could get Nick Chubb. That was what I wanted, but I didn't know which spot would guarantee that I got Nick Chubb for the best value, so I ended up just going with the 101. But so I love Nick Chubb a lot. I'm probably the most talented runner in the league. And then Jalen Hurts, you saw what he did last year. He's going to be awesome again. Devontae Adams is always reliable. Hopkins is funny. During the draft, it was like the 8th round or something, and I hadn't had Hopkins crossed off on my paper. I didn't realize he had been drafted, and I was like, where is he? Like, Hopkins is crazy value right now. And then I was like, oh, wait, Zach drafted him like 3 rounds ago.
The old Des Bryant still on the board.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it was Mike who tried to draft Des Bryant when...
I think it was Cole.
I don't know. It was Jarvis's keeper, I think.
Yeah.
And then somebody tried to draft Des Bryant when he was a keeper. But that's kind of a scenario for me. DeAndre Swift, I don't love. Dalvin Cook could be good value. They paid him $8 million for 1 year. They're going to use him. But yeah, team is solid for sure.
Yeah, I have worries about DeAndre Swift as well, but the upside of that is one of the best offenses, and he is one of the most talented players. I'm a little biased on Swift. He burned me a lot last year, but it's a late 5th round pick. So, after your top 4 picks that can, whatever. If he busts, it's going to be annoying, but I think the upside might be worth it. But I really do like this team overall. No glaring holes at a position. tight end would probably be the one that's the weakest, but it's like, who cares? It's tight end. You're going to be running Freiermuth and Laporta. If one of them pops off, great, but a very good draft, Zach. Lastly, we got Cole, Daddy XOXO, and this draft, the first 6 picks before the Jonathan Taylor news was terrifying. I was like, of course, Cole, he's going to come in not caring at all about the draft, and he's going to leave with a playoff contending team. Obviously, Taylor news hurts a little bit, but you don't win the league in the first 4 weeks of the season. So these 6 players are scary if they stay healthy, which they should. Great. It's going to be a good team. The 3 tight end strategy has worked for him before. I'm not a fan of it, but obviously he's making playoffs all the time.
Makes it work. So
I don't love the back half of the draft, but again, he's going to have some players that pop off, and we're going to be like, of course, like John Mechie went off and nobody wanted to draft him. So
Derrick Henry could be absolute stud for him. He has RB1 upside, and he got him in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
So that could be awesome. A.J. Brown, I don't really see him finishing as the wide receiver 1, but he will have his weeks where he is dominant. And Cooper, too, there's Deshaun Watson will throw the ball to him a lot. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, like we said, if he ended up being healthy for week 1, that was going to be a scary team to go up against.
Right.
He took the risk, and I mean it could pay off late in the season. Jonathan Taylor could come back, and I don't know if he's happy or whatever, but he could absolutely dominate like he did a couple years ago.
He's going to need him to, because if Taylor's gone the first 4 weeks, A.J. Dillon and Derrick Henry isn't the most scary running back room, and Zamir White the only other running back. So hopefully the waiver wire is good to you. Well, I don't hope the waiver wire is good to you, but
hopefully it's good to me.
You hope that the waiver wire is good for you. So.
Yeah. Important things to note: Cole did take 4 tight ends, crushing the over on the over/under from last week's podcast. So if you guessed over, congratulations.
Right. And Ethan's rage round was like round 3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't know.
We missed that.
I don't remember when it was, but yeah. What was the other over/under? Oh, who was going to take Kelsey? I was right on CC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember what our other questions were.
Who drafted Mahomes?
CC also.
Yeah.
We didn't guess CC though. I guessed Parker, I think.
Yeah. I don't remember who I said.
Or no,
you said Mike. I said Parker,
Mike,
I think.
He guessed Parker. So there you have it.
Yeah. There's the draft recap.
There's a little bit of a draft recap. I would like to say we've got some people who have their new team names in and some people who don't. So Brandon's got his new team name. CC does not. You need to fix that before week 1. Mike, same thing. Need to fix that before week 1. I've got my new team name. Grant's got his new team name. Ethan's got his new team name. Zach's got his new team name. Parker needs to figure his out. He's just Parker right now.
Yeah.
So he needs to figure out a new team name. Jake's got a new team name. And then the rest of his division does not. So Noah needs to switch his. Cole needs to switch his. And Cole's picture is still the same from when his team was Cup Check. So Cole might need to, spend like 2 seconds and find a new picture or something.
Right.
And Jarvis need to switch your team name before.
Yeah. We still have 8 days, and some people are looking for it. So obviously, team names really fun. They are looking good so far this year.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be exciting. We're really excited for week 1 and football to start. We're 8 days away. By the time you see this, it's much less. And this is going to be a good season. We hope everybody, a season full of no injuries.
Yeah.
So that won't happen, but I can say that now and be the nice guy. So
yep. Good luck to everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Like and
comment,
subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah.
Peace.
Later.